design a stock management system. Remember, I've given you an assignment to handle and design sheets in this manner, and the aim of this video tutorial today is to teach you how to be able to code this sheets such that it is able to generate you a stock management system at the end of the day. So let us get right away into the training, and I'm going to explain so much. Now, the first thing that we want to do about the inventory listings account, let me talk a little about this. Remember that the inventory listings account basically has no formula, no codes that is supposed to be inserted here. Why is this so? It is simply because this is the account that is going to carry the information relating to all what is available in the business's premises, and so at this level you are not going to need to insert any formulas or any functions at the level of the stock inventory listings account, and that is going to help you a lot because at this level every information here is posted by the user of the system. And this is very important. Remember, he or she assigns codes here, and the only extra formatting which you can do is to be able to give him the type of codes to use, meaning that you can decide to give him the store items, the codes that are supposed to be used by the system. But for now, I would not like us to do that, and we are going to handle that when we are diving into VBA directly. For the meantime, we are just going to allow the stock inventory listings account the way it is, and then we are going to move straight into the stock in account, where we are going to put some codes here. And what kind of codes are we going to put here? We are going to place codes that are going to enable us, first of all, the user is going to enter information here, but we need a code that by the time the user enters the stock ID, the name of the stock and the quantity, the cost price given with the total cost tool is going to appear. At the level of the quantity, the user is going to fill in that information. It is same here for the stock out and the final stock account. Nothing is supposed to, the user has nothing to do here. Everything here is supposed to be automatically generated, and I'm going to do that within the course of this tutorial. So let us go right away into it. The first thing I would like to do is to format my work as a table. And to format as a table, the first thing is I select the range of cells which I am interested in formatting as a table. And if I want to do, I come to the home tab. This is the home tab right here. Let me go ahead and check my formula bar. So you see my formula bar, this is the home tab here, and I'm going to come into the home tab and I'm going to take format as table. And when I take format as table, I can decide to choose amongst the many table styles which Microsoft provides, or I can decide to create my own table style, which is what I often do. And here I can format, meaning I can decide to give how text is going to appear here. I'm going to not affect text, but let me go ahead and do boldings my borders so that you can be able to see how my borders are going to look like. Okay, I want something like, okay, I don't want this, let me use something lighter. Oh, in fact, let me just use something very light here, and I'm going to do this for text. Now field is how the range of cells should look like, what color should they have, and that is not my interest here. Now I'm going to allow it so that it picks automatic, and that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and I'll set this as default table style for this document. Now if you look here, it doesn't apply here. If I want it to apply, I'm going to come and you see this is a new style here, so I'll select. My table has headers. I'll go ahead and check this. Headers are the captions here which you are able to see here, and so when I check this, Microsoft recognizes this as captions and it's going to include in my table. Now if you go ahead, you see this is my table which has been formed, and I can go ahead and increase the size of these cells. What I'll do is I'll select the cells from here to the last cell, and what I do is I take Control Shift and the arrow down key, and then I can come here. I use this to increase the sizes of the cells. Now we have something, it looks much more better, and let me go ahead and increase this too. So I can simply come back here, and this is the information. Okay, now this didn't increase. Okay, so this is what we've done. I'll go ahead and I'll hide my grid line so that you can see my table clearly. And then I might decide to do some simple editing features here, like bolding of text. And I come to the home tab and I bold, and I also bold here. So you see, this is where the user is going to enter his or her company name, and I told you this is where the user sets up everything. At this level, we are going to go into advanced level courses where you will see how you can be able to give the user access to all of this, but not directly posting into the sheet. Now the next thing we are going to do is in the stock in account. I'm going to do basically the same thing. I'll go ahead and I'll just select the table style which we had formed, and so I won't have to waste much time. And let me go ahead to and hide my grid lines, and we're also going to increase the sizes of the rows. That will do. Now this will do. Oh, I still forgot to include this. Now we've increased, that will do. And the next thing we'll do is here, which is same. Now you're going to, when working, you're going to do the table style you desire. You're going to insert and design your work the way you intend it to look like. But one thing I want to emphasize on is the aim of this tutorial is to give you a guide on what formulas to use, so that you can be able to generate. As to the editing features, you can decide what editing features you desire for your work. And the final stock account, I think this is the last account I'm working with, and I'm going to go ahead and format as table, and that is it. So I basically have all my information available, and I'm going to now go straight into the coding of this system, such that it's able to give me the information and report the way I desire it to report. So I want grid lines off, and I'll go ahead and increase the size of these rows. Now the only reason I increase this is for visibility. Sometimes I find it difficult reading into small lines. And so let us go back. We said in the inventory listings account we are going to have no formulas included in here. At the level of the stocking account, what we are going to do, we are going to need a formula here that can be able to return the name of this item, the item that has been put in here. So let's go ahead and first of all populate our data. I'm going to use GS, which is GlobeSoft 001 for my coding, and I'm going to say accounting Excel. This is a part 1 tutorial video, and the selling price I'm going to put here 5,000. The cost price I'm going to put here 2,500. As for the remark, I'm not going to have anything there. GS002, I'm going to have accounting Excel control system, and I'm going to put here 6,000, and here I'll put 4,000, and here I'm going to put OHADA system, and here I'm going to put 10,000, and here I'm going to put here my cost as 7,000. So we have populated our table. Now let us go ahead and insert a code and the formulas. Now the first thing we said is we want a formula. By the time we enter the code, the name of the item comes out, and the cost price, and then the total cost is calculated. So let us go do that. The formula I'm going to recommend at this stage is what we call the index and match formula, or the functions. Now VLOOKUP can also go here as well, but the difference and difficulty with VLOOKUP is that when you're working with VLOOKUP, the information you're doing must be on the left, meaning the information you're looking up must be on the left, and VLOOKUP is kind of prone to errors. But with the index and match function, it is very easy to use, and information can be sorted in from any direction, whether it's from the left or from the right. And so let us go ahead. I'm going to use index and match, and then in the subsequent videos I'm going to teach you how to use VLOOKUP, so that you have a feel and an understanding of how the two are supposed to be like. So I'll go here equal to, now what am I indexing? I'm going to start, this is it, it says index. Now what is the array? The array here just simply signifies where the answer, where the answer is located. Where is my answer located, or the field that possesses or has my answer. And so here the answer is going to come from the inventory listings account, and it's going to come here from the description. Remember, that is what we want to appear. And Actually, when we do that, we have a comma and it says row number. So the row number here is how many places or how many cells should Excel count in order, or how many columns should Excel move to order to have your answer. So if I take here 1, Excel is going to read this first ID here, meaning Excel will return this value. Let me just try to show you that. Now you see we have 1, accounting with Excel part 1, which happens to be this first one. If we have here a 2, Excel is going to move. So you see it gives us a second. So this is a 1, this is a 2, this is a 3, and just it goes through. But this is not what we want to appear. So in the case we want for us to get the position of the number, that is where the match function comes in. The match function is going to return the position of the ID in the stock listings account. That is very important, so that we don't have the user going in to enter if it's a 2 or if it's a 1 or a 3 or whatsoever position is it. And so how do? We are going to have here match, and so I'm going to have here match. Sorry for that. I'm going to have match. And what are we matching? We are matching this value. Now where is this value going to be found? This value is found in the stock listings accounts and is found here in the stock ID column. So I hope you're understanding. What am I matching? I am matching the stock ID at the level of the stock in account. And where is the information coming from? It is coming from the stock ID section in the inventory listings account. And the next thing is to put what type of match are we trying to do here, and we are looking for an exact match. We want Excel to return an exact match, meaning that it should give us the exact position of this particular code in that table. Now when we do that, we can go ahead and we close our table. And so I'm going to go ahead and I'll close my table. Now you see Excel has returned us this, and I'm going to go ahead and I'll check what the problem is at this point in time. And so okay, now let us come back here, and we have set index. We want this, and it's matching this with this, and we want an exact match. Okay, now let us go ahead. How many brackets do I have open? I think we have 2. And let me go. Okay, now Excel is telling us that we need to enter the stock ID here. By the time we enter stock ID, it's going to balance off. So let us assume we have here GS002. Now we see it gives us the answer. And let me do caps lock. So I have GS002. So if I have the next one, say GS003, we have Excel returning the answer. But now you will not like your system user to see all of these null values telling you this cell is empty and there is no lookup value. So in this place, I can decide to use the if error function. So to hide that, I'm going to take if error, and what I want Excel to do is if all of this has an error, Excel should return an empty cell. You see how I put in an empty cell here? It's just inverted commas, open and close. And I'm going to go ahead and I'll close my work and I validate. So we no longer have the empty values here or the error messages here. And here we see as our user keeps on posting information, the information keeps coming. So we are going to go ahead and also enter, because it depends. Now the cost price of the item is also coming from the inventory listings account. Remember, each time a new product comes in, it's supposed to be recorded here at the level of the inventory listings account. So at the level of the cost price is going to come from the inventory listings account. So we are still going to use index and match. So to get that, so I'm going to be equals to index. And what am I indexing? I'm indexing the cost prices. That is where my answer is located. And how many rows and columns should Excel move through? I'm going to use the match function to get that. And what am I matching? I am matching the stock ID. And where is the stock ID coming from? It's going to be found here at the level in the inventory listings account. It's going to be found under the stock IDs. And I want an exact match, and we are going to go ahead and close. But now before we validate, we would like to do our if error. So I will just say if error, I want Excel to return empty. Okay, sorry. So if there's an error, I want Excel to return an empty cell. That is okay. So we see it has already given us the cost prices here. Now we have the cost prices. To get the total cost, we can simply put in a formula, which is going to be the quantity that has been acquired, and it's going to be multiplied by the cost price. And so I can do this and I validate. But now we see here that the quantity has no values, so for us to multiply, it gives us a 0, and here it is telling us that there are no values within the range that we are multiplying. So we are going to go ahead and solve this problem still with the if error function, and I'm going to include the if error function here so that I have that gone, and that's okay. So you see, basically we have our information here, and if I have to put in a quantity, say 5, I have the total cost. If I fit in 2, I have it. If I have 1, I have it. And so that is simply how it works. We are going to go and do same for the stock out account. And so here we want our information to come here, so I'm going to use index and match. So what are we doing? We are indexing. And what are we indexing? Where the answer is going to come from, still in the inventory listings account. I'm going to take the answer should come from the description column. And how many rows should Excel move to get the exact location? I'm going to use the match function to figure that out. And the match function, what are we matching? I am matching the stock ID. And where is the stock ID coming from? Where are they found? They are found in the inventory listings account stock ID column. And I'm going to set the type of match I want, which is an exact match. I'm going to return a 0, and that is it. And I'm going to go ahead and I'll close my work, and I will just go ahead and add the if error so that Excel can be able to put in something if there is an error, and I'll close my work. So I have my information here. If I have entered a code here, okay, so I have it giving me here. Excel returns the value here, the selling price too. Now this is where the trick comes in. In a strict business firm, which is like a supermarket, you might have no problems at this level because they have fixed prices. But if you are going to install a system in a local retail store, you discover that people have to negotiate. Some people bargain for prices, and so you might want to do a system price kind of a thing before the selling price. So in that case, you're going to change this price here to system price, and then you can now include another column for the selling price, so that by the time a user or the user of a system enters the stock ID, he's going to have the system price reported, and then he's going to enter the final selling price. There's the price at which he sold the item. So in this case, we are going to assume that we are dealing with a business here like a supermarket, and we are going to assume fixed prices. So the prices still are going to come from the inventory listings account, and I'm still going to use the index and match function here. I want to use this function as many times as possible so that each and every one of you has a feel and you understand how this function works. So here, what are we indexing? We set the location of the answer. So the answer here is located, we want to index the selling price. That is what we are indexing here. And how many rows and columns should Excel match? I'm going to use the match function to figure that out. And basically we are going to, what are we matching? We are matching this ID here. And where is this ID coming from? We have the IDs found here at the level of the stock ID in the stock listings account, and we want an exact match. So I'm going to close my table twice because we have two brackets open. I think that's one thing I forgot to explain. Why in Excel, if you open two brackets, you need to close two. If you open 3, you need to close 3, and all that. So we want Excel to return an empty value. That is okay. So we already have the selling price. So you see here, this declares the cost price, this declares the selling price, and we are going to have here the total revenue, which is basically going to be equal to this value multiplied by the selling price value. And remember, we will need to add our if error to make that better. So I'm going to take if error And what should happen if there is an error? I want this, so we are going to have an empty value here. And if I enter my quantity, say 5, it gives me my total revenue. Here the user is going to enter the customer's name. And let me go in and we try other codes. So let's say 1 was acquired. What was the quantity that was entered? 5. So I hope you've understood that. And let's go now into the final stock account. This is where the magic happens. Remember, we said at the level of the final stock account, no entries are supposed to be made here. The system user basically has nothing to do but just observe. So the first thing is we want all the stock IDs available in the system to be generated here. So we are going to do just an equal to, and I'm going to link it such that you see all the stock IDs. So I take equal to, and I want all the IDs in the stock listings accounts to be declared here. Let me go and align it. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll align it left so that I can have my code here. And to get the description, basically we are going to use the index and match function. Why are we using the index and match instead of just equating? Because we want to be sure. Remember that information can be deleted at the level of the stock listings account, and if we just put an equal to sign, we are going to have a distortment in our information. So I'm going to use the index and match function here. So this is it. And what am I indexing? I am indexing where my answer comes from, and that is here, the descriptions account. I want this section here, the name, and how many rows and columns should Excel move. We're going to use the match function to figure that out. And what are we matching? We're matching this ID, and where is this ID coming from? It's coming in from here, and we want an exact match. So we close our bracket twice, and I'm just going to go ahead, since you've understood, to add the if error function here. So I have if error here, and that's okay. So we have this entered, and the status here, we want Excel to tell us if it's available or not. So I'm going to allow this for now, and then we are going to do the range, as the received to sold and the balance, before I'll come back to that. Now, how does the receive work? We want to have all the various additions to each item that has come in, meaning that we want to know how many of these items were received within the period, how many of these other items were received, and how many were sold. And so here we are going to use the sum if criteria, and here I'm going to take sum if. Now, what am I summing? The first thing I want to put is I'm summing the range. You see, when I put the sum if, it talks about the range, the criteria, and the sum if range. So here the range, the sum range, the range here is going to carry the range where the codes are found. And here, since we are doing the receive, our range where the codes are found in the receive account will be here in the stock ID section. And the next criteria is asking us for the code, and the code basically is this code. We want to know how many of these items have been received within the period, and what is the area we are summing. We want Excel to sum the quantity. So I hope you've understood me clearly. Let me come again with that. The sum if, the first thing it takes is where the IDs are found, that is in the stock in account. The next thing I'm going to put in is the code of the particular ID I'm working with, and that is why I said the code is going to come in at the level of the final stock account. And when I have that, I'm just going to insert now the last criteria, which will be the area which Excel is supposed to sum, which is a quantity, and I'll validate that. So we have this all received now. So you see we have received one of this. Let's go ahead and check. So if we check here under the receive stock in, we see we receive 1. If we go ahead and we increase our receipt here, let's say on another day we receive, say, 5, meaning we have a total of 6 in stock. So if I come to my final stock, you see we have 6, and so this works very well. I also like to include here the if error so that it handles any issues. So if error, we want an empty, and that goes. So let us do likewise for the sold section. We are going to have the sum if. Now what are we summing? that is the range where our IDs are found, which will be in the stock out account. We want here, this is where the IDs are found. Now what are we actually summing? What is our criteria? We want to sum this particular cell here, that is the first cell here, which carries this function. And what is the value, or the area where we want to sum? We want to sum this area here, which is a total quantity that has been sold within the period. And I'm going to go ahead and I'll close my table and I'll have it here. So we have this, and I can go ahead to insert my if error criteria, and this is going to go. So we have received, we have the received here, we have the sold. So each time the user posts in a new information at the level of the stock in account or the stock out account, is going to have it updated here automatically. If a new ID comes in, let's say a new thing comes into the system, GS005, and I'm going to call this manufacturing, or let me just say stocking not available. So the first criteria is value if true, which is if your condition is, if it meets your condition, what should Excel do? We want Excel to retain available, and if it doesn't, we want Excel to put not available. So I can go ahead and close. So we have this. But now you discover that if I put not available, like here we have not available, we might not want that. So at the end of the day, I might decide to say, okay, let us return an empty cell here, and that is going to work. So you have it here. So if it's available, you see Excel going to return available, but if not, Excel leaves a blank space. I think that's much better, so that you don't have information lying down here. And so I hope you've understood and you've learned these formulas and these functions. The next thing you can do to make your sheet look very good, you can decide to edit these features, to bold your text, and also I can decide to align and center it. I can change the back color, that is to add my coloring. I can decide to go in for something very dark, and in that case I might need to change my font color too, so you can have something like this. And all that, it depends now on you, that is your editing. So my interest in this tutorial was actually to teach you the formulas and functions that you can use to be able to generate a simple stock management system for any business. Remember, I've made mention of basically just three functions, which is the index and the match function. I'm considering those as one. We have the sum if function, and we have the if function. If there is a function you've not understood properly, please leave a comment below, and I'm going to do another tutorial for that particular function. But remember, the aim of all this is to enable you know how to design a stock management system for any business. Meaning, if you are a worker in a company and say you have items which you're supposed to track, you can simply design something like this, and it helps you track those items. If you're going to start up your own business, and maybe you want to design systems for small and medium-sized enterprises like what I'm doing here, you can decide to just design something as simple as this, a spreadsheet program as simple as this. You implement it in the business premises, and it's going to generate their stock balances automatically. Thank you very much for following this lesson, and see you in subsequent lessons.